Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is The Ray Taylor Show.
West Side Story, the new version, the remake version that came out last year, nominated for Best Picture, directed by Steven Spielberg, a movie that I've never seen the original, but because it is nominated for Best Picture, I wanted to go through all the nominations and watch all of the movies, which will have been the first time I have ever done that. But yeah, West Side Story. A beautiful movie. I think so much of this movie is expertly done. The style fits perfectly with Steven Spielberg's style. Like it just, as far as the musicals go, vibrant colors. The color palette of this is amazing. Vibrant characters and performances. Maybe a little bit too much of the accents, or maybe a little bit overboard. But then again, I don't know. Maybe it's just, maybe they're authentic, but it seemed like some of the accents, some of them felt right on the money, and then there's some accents that felt like they were slightly exaggerated. Either way, it fit with the vibrant style, the vibrant vibe of this movie. The performances are beautiful. The songs are great. It provided context finally for, there were multiple songs in this movie that I've definitely heard before, referenced thousands of times in other movies and in other things. So it was great finally getting the context for those songs. All of the dance performances even provide context to the scenes that are going on. Like there's a scene where two characters are fighting over a gun, and the giant dance number that happens between those characters is gorgeous and clearly represents fighting in dance form. All of the dancing numbers are great. All of the songs are great. All the performances are great. The singing is great. I didn't know Baby Driver could actually sing. He is great in this movie. Ansel Elgort, the guy who was Baby Driver in Baby Driver, which is an amazing movie that I watched recently again. But a surprise to see him in this and singing as well. The main thing I did not like, I mean, this is New York City, 1957, or I don't know if it's set in 57. It's a 1957 play, but it's probably around that time in New York. Pretty much a Romeo and Juliet story, but instead, I believe Romeo and Juliet was more of a financial divide between the two characters, where in this one it's more of a racial divide, white versus the Puerto Rican, which there are, in this poor neighborhood, there are racial tensions between the two, the poor whites and the poor Puerto Ricans that are living there, where the neighborhood is changing, and of course racism, of course it's the brown people's fault for things changing, when of course it is neither of their faults. It is the rich people of this world that are screwing over the poor people and allowing them to fight each other over racial differences. That whole story is great, right? The struggle between these two groups of people who are technically on the same page, but not realizing it, while their neighborhood is being transformed. But because of this love story, ends up they have, their fights, the Jets and the Sharks. I think it's the Sharks, right? Yeah. And that stuff is great. The back and forth, the different kind of confrontations they have are great. The choreography, it's beautiful. Everything. All that stuff is beautiful. The aspect of this movie I did not like and did not buy and was not good was the relationship between Ansel Elgort and Rachel Ziegler, who plays Maria. Tony and Maria, right? Tony is the white guy who he got in trouble, went to jail, and now he's out trying to change his life around, living in the basement, working under this shop, who he's friends with, the shopkeeper, this nice little old lady. She's allowing him to live in the basement and help work there, trying to turn his life around, right? And then, of course, he gets pulled back into it because that's how all these things go, but falls in love with Maria at a school dance. Now, the fact that they fall in love just happens out of nowhere. It's like there's a school dance going on. You see the tension between the Jets and the Sharks. And then all of a sudden, you're underneath the bleachers, and Maria sees Tony, and they're just in love with each other. They'd never seen each other before. There's no context for them within this movie, reasoning why they should love each other, why she should be in love with him, and vice versa. Like, there's no context, nothing that sets up or justifies their love for each other. But this movie's like, bam, they're in love. Don't ask questions. Didn't like it because I had questions. And that's a big part of this movie is their love for each other. The Many Faces is an ongoing abstract ink portrait series that I started many years ago. I release a new face every day, but go to inspireddisorder.com to check them out. So many available. But as a listener to The Ray Taylor Show, you can save 10% when you use coupon code INSPIRED when you check out. So go to inspireddisorder.com/TMF. That stands for The Many Faces. Go check them out. Browse the entire collection. And when you decide on a piece, or maybe multiple pieces, make sure you use coupon code INSPIRED when you check out, and you'll save 10%. As a big thank you for checking out my work, for collecting my work, and for listening to The Ray Taylor Show. And with that said, let's get back to the show. Despite the fact that, like, things happen, right? There's this big fight that ends up getting scheduled, right? The two groups, the Sharks and the Jets, they go into the bathroom. They go over the rules of the fight. What weapons can you bring, right? And they come to a conclusion that nobody's going to bring knives. Nobody's definitely bringing guns, but nobody's going to bring knives, right? They agree not to bring bats, bring bottles, bring chains, bring whatever you want, but don't bring any knives. Like, that was the no cutoff. But of course, people are gonna follow rules in a street fight. Please. So of course, whatever agreement they come to in this bathroom ends up not getting held up when the fight actually happens, obviously. And you have that scene where Ansel Elgort's character, Tony, trying to wrestle away this gun that one of the other Jets is bringing. And Tony doesn't want to be part of this fight, right? He's done with that life. But in an attempt to help his friend from going down the same path he went down, to making a mistake that will affect the rest of his life, tries to get this gun away from this kid, ends up getting the gun away, but in the end doesn't matter. There's a fight over a knife that somebody else brought, and somebody ends up getting killed. Like, accidentally, in the scuffle, it happened, right? This guy gets caught. And then... And it's the guy who dies in this fight is, like, the boyfriend of the sister of Maria, I believe. I think that's how he's connected. Living in the same apartment as Maria... Right, but he's like the boyfriend of her roommate, which I think is her sister. Because there's a scene where they, he's trying to be controlling over Maria because he doesn't want her, after the initial school dance, he doesn't want her, going out with this white guy, right? Because white guys are horrible. They treat the Puerto Ricans like shit. And, of course, the white guys are just, crying because, like, people, we can't be the only poor people here. It could only be white poor people here. And she's like, you can't control her because she pays rent here. She's not your daughter. She's not your family, right? She pays to live here. She can live her own life. But that guy ends up dying. And it's like this whole thing. But then there's a scene where Tony goes to Maria, and she knows that he killed her roommate's boyfriend, that he killed this dude, which was it Bernardo? May have been his name. And she instantly forgives him. Like, she's mad at first, but then, like, doesn't take long for her to forgive him and to agree to run away with him. Like, the fact that they're in love in the first place doesn't make any sense. And then after he, like, kills somebody that she knows and is in a relationship with somebody she knows really well, just instantly forgives him. It's like, what the fuck is going on with that? And then, at the end of this movie, right? Obviously, spoilers. First off, this is an old movie. I'm sure you know the thing. But another problem I have is at the end of this movie, right? I love this old lady shopkeeper, right? But this character takes a turn in the end of this movie that bums me out, that made me hate this character, right? Because there's a scene after the whole skerfuffle where the dude gets killed, gets accidentally stabbed during the fight, right? The gun ends up getting picked up by Gino, which was like Maria's date for the first school dance with this guy named Gino, who's the brother of the guy who got killed, right? Gino, who's like a normal nerdy kid, but now is kind of, because of this event, he picks up the gun, and now he's after Tony because he wants to kill Tony. But this old shopkeeper lady Tony goes home right after this fight. He's like, I got to get out of here. They're going to come. The cops are going to come. They're going to get me. I got to run away with Maria, right? So he's back in the basement packing his stuff real quick, telling this old shopkeeper lady, like, he's got to bounce. And this old shopkeeper lady sits him down and tells him that Gino got the gun and killed Maria. By the way, how did she know there was a gun involved? How did she know Gino got the gun? And why did she just lie about Gino killing Maria? Like, literally, when I watched that, I was like, wait a minute. I had to pause it, rewind. What did she say? Gino killed Maria. And then I had to physically rewind the movie, which means I put my thumb on the remote and hit back the physical motions. But I had to rewind the film to see if I had missed a scene where Gino killed Maria. And there is no scene because that character was lying. The old shop lady was lying to Tony for some reason, telling him that Gino had killed Maria. What? So then Tony is like, well, I've got nothing to live for, goes out in the streets yelling Gino's name, telling him to come and kill him because he's got nothing. He's like, well, you killed the girl I loved, which didn't make any sense that they were in love anyway, but you killed her. So I've got nothing less to live for. So Gino, come out and kill me. And of course, eventually, Gino comes out. But then, in the whole thing, guess who shows up? The girl that's supposed to be dead. So now Tony sees that she's alive, but Gino's about to shoot him. She ends up getting the gun, and she ends up shooting Gino. Wait, is that how it happened? For some reason, I'm like, there's a thing. Did he shoot? No, he shot Tony. Gino shot Tony. That's what it was. And the old shop lady couldn't care less that Tony just died. Like, she lied to Tony and got Tony killed. And the old shop lady's out on the streets, too, at this point. Right? Maria tried to stop Gino from killing Tony. Gino killed Tony. Tony's dead. Shopkeeper, it's her fault, despite the fact Gino pulled the trigger. And the shopkeeper lady just grabs Gino's hand and walks him to the cops. Just not at all worried about the fact that Tony is laying dead in the street because she lied to him about Gino killing Maria. A weird twist. I don't know if they cut something out of this story and that's how they had to play it, but makes no sense in the movie. Why this character that I loved, like my favorite character in this movie, this old shop lady, my favorite character, just at the end of this movie turns out to be a horrible person. Just a horrible person. Such a bummer. Join Inspired Disorder Plus today. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus to join. Membership includes members-only discounts and deals. You get access to the Ray Taylor Show completely ad-free, as well as bonus episodes. You get access to the complete live painting archive. You also get access to every single podcast ever produced by Inspired Disorder, hosted by Ray Taylor. You get access to Ray Taylor's personal blog, as well as the opportunity to ask me any questions. So if you want to start a podcast, you're into art, ask me anything. And so many more things are being added every day to Inspired Disorder Plus. So sign up today, become a member, head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus and become an Inspired Disorder Plus member today. And this movie also proves once again that guns are just stupid. Like, there was at no point, guns don't solve anything. Guns, like that one gun made that whole situation deadly for people in a way that shouldn't. Like, human life is worth more than somebody's ability to curl their finger. Like, anybody that thinks it's okay for everybody to own a device that makes it effortless to end human life is ridiculous. Like, because people can't be trusted. Human mental status can change in an instant. Trauma can change people in very big ways very quickly. And life is a son of a bitch. So owning a gun when you're in a state that is all of a sudden either homicidal or suicidal does nobody good. But yeah, like the overall story of this, I enjoyed. The musical aspects, I enjoyed. The choreography, I enjoyed. The fact that this movie has a trans character, I loved. Far more progressive than anything Disney has pretended to do in their entire catalog of films. Which apparently in the original film, the musical of West Side Story, that character was just a quote-unquote tomboy. Where this one, the character identifies herself as a man. She wants to be part of the Jets, and she just doesn't identify as being a woman. And it's a great scene. There's great scenes. The police station scene with all the Jets when they get brought in for questioning because before this fight's supposed to happen, the cops, like, this is also a movie that kind of portrays cops as if they're like it's the propaganda version of cops in this movie, where it's like, oh, they're just trying to keep the peace. They're not really, like, in a realistic version of this movie, they wouldn't be as sympathetic to the Puerto Ricans as they are. They would have been on the Jets side completely. Not that they weren't necessarily in the beginning, but it would have been like the cops seem like the fictional version of what police officers are, that they're trying to keep the peace instead of really kind of instigating wars between groups. But that the jail scene is great with the Jets, where they're all pretending to be the chief or whatever. All of that stuff is great. All those performances are great. But that story, everything that happens between Tony and Maria was like, okay, they're in love. Why? Because they saw each other. she saw him so little that just based on him dancing with her, she just knew he was tall. She didn't even know he was a white dude. Not that it should matter, but it just goes to the fact that how little she knew about this guy that she just falls in love with. She fell in love with the silhouette dancing. And it instantly reciprocated with him. And it's not that they didn't have chemistry. It's not that I didn't believe in those moments that they actually loved each other. It's just what this movie told me as an audience member why they love each other was non-existent. It's just like, I have to just go along with this ride that they love each other for zero reason. It's like they've never even talked about anything. Just every time they open their mouths to each other, it's about how much they love each other. They don't know anything about each other at all, but they're going to run away. She's going to forgive him for murdering somebody and just run away with him. So that aspect of the movie, it kind of takes it away. That is why I don't think this should be. I think if they improved that storyline and didn't ruin the character of that old shop lady, didn't turn her into just a horrible person. Like, lying about Gino killing Maria is bonkers. And then having little to no compassion for the fact that Tony just got killed is bonkers as well. But everything else I really loved. Sadly, like, I loved so much of this movie except for that story. Like, the main love story of this movie was pretty bullshit. But other than that, 2 big thumbs up for every other aspect of it. Really, it was really great. West Side Story 2001. Check it out. It is a lot of fun, and I will probably go back and watch the original at some point just so I can see how characters were changed and see if maybe they shuffled the story around a little bit, and that's why I didn't like it. But either way, aside from the relationship stuff, I really enjoyed West Side Story. Check it out. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. And follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.